Good afternoon. Welcome back to another stream. Gonna do my Chickawitz flow studies. With my Chickawitz flow studies, the goal is to have a great first attack, to have the best possible sound I can immediately so that it's really centered right away. And then I'm trying to keep that centered great sound on all the other notes that I play and trying to keep the connection as smooth as possible. Hey, DCI. I don't know if I ever pursued it, to be honest. So no, I never received any feedback. I appreciate it. I was happy with that round. If you get really nitpicky, you can hear some of the things that they probably they probably thought, or they were like, this is probably not what, we don't want to advance them. I was kind of inaccurate on, if I remember, it's been a long time since I've listened to it, but I was pretty inaccurate on the Gershwin, I think. And then I think Schumann 2 did me in. It just wasn't, I wasn't playing out. I had just gotten the Rotary not that long before, and so it wasn't super comfortable for me. And I think I just played it kind of safe, and it didn't sound super secure. But I appreciate it, and I think, there's just a level of refinement that, especially now, there's so many great players out there. There's a high level of refinement needed. There's no question. How do I make my low register less flat? Hey, Trey. Hope you're doing well, man. I'd have to hear you, of course. But to me, it's like a sort of an embouchure focus thing. So making sure that you're keeping the air nice and energized and you're not dropping your jaw to play low. If you're dropping your jaw, it can be easy to play loudly in the low register, and I'll try to demonstrate that through some of the flow studies as we go through. But when I'm doing it, I'm trying to keep everything forward, so I keep that same intensity of air, and then I also retain flexibility, right? I retain the ability to sort of aim the air where I want it to go, and then, it's hard to tell without hearing you as well, but that would be my initial guess. No worries, Triple J. I'm using the same mouthpiece right now, but from what I understand, there is sort of some certain brand of mouthpiece that will make this particular Rotary work even better. When I just sold my, I used to own a Rotary, and I just sold it not that long ago, and I had a Breselmeyer, Breselmeyer, Breslmayer, Breslmayer mouthpiece, and that seemed to help a lot. So yeah, I do think rotaries will generally benefit from a mouthpiece that's designed for them, but I think it can work with your normal setup as well. Yeah, maybe that wasn't the right word. Safe wasn't the right word. I think I tried to play too soft. So when you're that excerpt in particular is hard. It's always been hard for me because I feel like when I'm playing it by myself, no matter how soft I play, it feels like it's too loud. I've played it once with the orchestra, and it was no problem because you're sort of sitting on top of the rest of the section and you're just trying to blend in. But it's always been a struggle for me, and I've played it too soft in general. And I think I just, fell victim to that. I'm in a new hall. I don't know the response of the hall, how much to play, what is too loud, what's too soft. And so, yeah, I think I just played too soft. No worries, Joey. This is a Rico Kuhn, Ricokuhn, Kuhn. Kuhn. There was a lot of good I felt, though, in that round for DCI. I felt, I represented myself well, and I feel like I got pretty far into the round. It's interesting because I was just starting to experiment with some of these organizational concepts. Like, I was not nearly as organized as I am now, but I was starting to. And so even in like a basic, very sort of crude almost application, it was still really beneficial for me to practice with that organization. How do you know it's time to switch equipment? I mean, my personal take on that is, it's time to switch equipment when you feel like you've maximized the equipment that you're on, which is a lot longer than most people want it to be. And so for a very long time, the best bet most people can have is, if you're struggling with something, just assume it's you. Assume it's that if you're struggling to play soft, it's not that you have a horn that doesn't play soft, it's that you don't know how to play soft. If you're struggling to play loud, assume that it's you don't know how to play loud. Now, there are instruments that are a little more free-blowing than others, and so they can help these types of things, but I just wouldn't immediately assume that the instrument is the problem. And then eventually you'll grow to a certain point where you're just working really hard to get certain sounds to happen. I feel like I'm in that boat with my Bach instruments. And so I started trying out a Shires and a Yamaha here and there, and I could see, oh yeah, like I'm still playing at a high level. I was playing at a high level on my Bach, but things are a lot easier on my on the Yamaha or the Shires or whatever. So switching mouthpieces is a little bit different because it can be specific to the particular genre or demands that you have. Like if you're going to play lead, or you're going to play in an orchestra or a brass quintet or something like that, you might switch a little bit more. But for like a horn, I would just try to say, like, well, let's assume it's me for a really long time so I can dive into understanding how to get better at the particular skill. And then asking, how can I get a horn that can help me do these things that I'm capable of doing, but do them easier? I have not used my improved system, if you want to call it that, to use your words. I have not used that. I'm hoping that I know that St. Louis principal is open, and I know that Philadelphia principal will be open, and so my hope is to use it on those to see what's the effect. Because I know a lot more about deliberate practice now, which is a difference. I didn't really think. I mean, understood how to practice, but I'm so much more thoughtful about it now than I was at that point. And I have ideas on how to make more deliberate musical decisions, and then to try to be able to bring those out as well. So there's so much that's changed in my approach and what I value that I kind of need to take another audition to figure out how does this work? Yeah, Trey, that's been the case too for me. Generally speaking, I have always felt that the sound on a Bach is better. So the trade-off of it not feeling as easy is okay for me. But these new Yamahas, these Gen 3 Yamahas, I've done some blind A and B testing. I've shared it on Instagram, and it seems like the sound is much closer to each other. And so now, the Yamaha being so much easier, if I'm not getting a significantly better sound on the Bach, what's the difference? So I'm playing this Rotary because Houghton Horn sent it to me. I'm going to do a review video on it at some point. And so I don't actually own this instrument. I'm just trying to get used to it so I can sound decent on the video that I would make for it. Typically I'll leave the tuning slide in the same place. I mean, I don't think I've ever experienced, unless I was playing outside or something, I don't think I've ever experienced a situation where my horn was very, very cold or something. It was such a different temperature that it would change throughout. But if that was the case, I would probably move it at that point then. But, as you're warming up, your instrument warms up, and then hopefully it sort of stays in the same place again. Like I said, unless you're outside or something. Have you had experiences where your horn warms up or changes temperature so much that that you're having to move the tuning slide. All right, so we have long tones now. This is not a very exciting part of my routine. None of my routine is very exciting, I think. But as you can see, we're going to have long tones with the drone at 88 beats per minute, and this is to help with intonation. And so the way I've been doing this, where is it? Nope. There it is. So I've been using this metronome. It's just tuningdrones.com. And I use the trumpet instrument and a major 10th. And I'm going to, you can probably hear the metronome beating in the background. I'm going to play for 8 counts and then rest for 8 counts and go down and go up. So I'll probably go from G down to low F sharp and then G sharp up to high C or maybe high D, depending on how it feels. So let's drop this a little bit so it's not quite so annoying. Didn't feel like that one quite settled, so I need to find it. I think I was flat. So try this as an example where, like, bringing things forward allows me to have more control over where I'm aiming. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can totally hear on the other side of this, but it feels nice and open. Like when I'm in tune, everything feels open and resonant and ringing, and that's what I'm listening for when doing these. I'm experimenting with playing with the slide further in. I had been playing too high on the pitch. So if you were too high and you push the slide further in, that means you're going to be even higher, right? And then as the horn, a cold horn is usually flat and a warm horn is usually sharp. So, yeah, I mean, I would just never play on a cold horn, basically, if that's a way to say it. Like I would use, there's all these tricks where you can put the bell on your knee and then kind of, blow some warm air through the instrument. Basically, once I start playing, I want the instrument to be at the temperature that I want it to be at. So that way I don't have to move it too much. And this is not like 100% across the board thing, but I rarely move my tuning slide. Because the horn will stay the same length all of the time. Like I find once you find where 440 is or whatever intonation number or hertz you're going to try to find, that's where it's going to be. Now, if you play with other people and those people change, you might have to change with them. So it just depends. But typically speaking, if your tuning slide stays in the same spot, ideally you should be pretty close to that same spot every time you do it. Have I gone through the process of preparing lead stuff like West Side Story? So I've prepared the symphonic dances for an audition before, but I've never prepared the actual book, which is what I understand is on the ballet list. It's not weird that they would ask this because I guess it's possible that it could show up on there, but it's kind of a specialty thing. And so, beyond playing for lead players and trying to figure that thing out, maybe spending a little bit more time, in the upper register, finding equipment that's going to help you get that sound, and then, practicing on that equipment a little bit is how I would approach it. I would build some time into my routine where it's like, okay, I'm going to be, working through this equipment, getting to know it, understanding it, and then I would do the same kind of process of, deliberate practice, using structure to figure out where the things I don't understand are. It's like, okay, I don't know how to do this shake, or I don't know how to do this leap or something like that. And, I think you have to have a requisite amount of ability in this way. So if you're, a freshman in college and you're struggling to play a high C, like this is not going to be something that a process will get you there in 6 weeks. You know what I mean? And so hopefully there's a level of like, okay, I can play comfortably around D's and E's, and then maybe some lead equipment might help me get another note or two on top. Yeah, I don't know. I do know that in our audition, so for the audition that I took with the Alabama Symphony Orchestra, on the first round, we had selections from West Side Story, the symphonic dances. And I remember thinking that was ridiculous. And then I found out later, after talking to someone that was on the committee, that a lot of people, if they didn't advance or if they struggled in that, it wasn't because they couldn't play high, or it wasn't because they, their style or whatever. It's just they played with like bad rhythm, Like it was so interesting to me that the thing that held people back was still the basics of rhythm or intonation, or some articulation related things. And so I don't know, it's a whole bunch of just random thoughts. I don't know if that actually answers your question. And Yeah, right. So you just got to find equipment that, that you got to try to find equipment that hopefully will help you do it, I guess. That's the best advice I can give. And then, spend some time getting to know that equipment. I know the audition's not till September, so you could spend like a whole month just exploring, with equipment, and then, starting to slowly apply it. Like, you don't have to learn it now. Wow. Yeah, these clappers do make a difference on like A's and C's. It just feels like it just comes right out. It's pretty crazy how helpful they are. Okay. First attacks. So if there's anybody watching who hasn't heard me talk about first attacks and long tones, the reason I do long tones first is I want to practice first attacks. That's really the thing I care about, is releasing sound. I spend a lot of time at the beginning of my session really focusing on how I'm releasing sound, because I find if I can get that really honed and dialed in, everything gets a lot easier. And so long tones are a first attack and then, 8 counts of holding a note. So if I'm not in the center of the pitch, I have some time to find the center of the pitch. These first attack drills are the same thing. I'm still getting first attack practice, actually more, because it's happening in a shorter span, more of them. So I'll get more attacks setting up, more chances to set up. But then there's only one quarter note or one beat of follow through or sustain, and so it's just harder to, you have to nail the center of the pitch right away. So this really exposes when I'm not in the center of the pitch. Yeah, I'll leave this up. Hey, Slide Grease, I'll leave this up for people to go back and watch later. There's also many other streams, and my warm up is generally pretty similar. So, but yeah, this will be up after I'm done. I'll leave it up. Yeah, the drone is something I've incorporated just this month for the first time in probably literally like 10 years. I don't know the last time I played with drones. And so I played these exact long tones with a tuner yesterday, and I felt like I was just couldn't play in tune at all to save my life, you know, because the tuner is so specific. If you're 1 cent sharp or 1 cent flat, it kind of like it'll show you. But with this, I like the drone a lot because you're using your ears to find the pitch, the center of the pitch, and to match it rather than, I mean, you're using your ears with the tuner as well, but I just find it's a little bit more forgiving, and it's very valuable for things like ensemble playing to use a pitch that exists to find out where you fall or where you should place your note. And then I'm trying to take the knowledge that I got from the long tones and apply it here. So I no longer have the drone, but I'm still trying to sort of listen for that sound I was creating when it was centered and trying to bring that sound forward. And I mean, if I was really testing out this Rotary, if I had purchased it and I was like, I got to get to know it, I'd be recording this right now so I could figure out the tendencies of this instrument. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it so that I can get used to what it feels like. So when I make a review video for this, it won't take me 100 years to record something that sounds good. But generally speaking, this feels pretty good. I don't play rotaries very often, so finding one that doesn't feel that different from my piston trumpets is really nice. That I can kind of just play the way that I play, and having the rotary will change the sound, and that that kind of stuff. All right, B flat, B, and C left, and then we'll move on to flexibility. So for anyone who doesn't practice timing drills like this, I'm going to give my best argument why you should be doing it. As you can see while I'm doing it, I sort of have a groove or a way that I'm doing it. It's so when I first start, breathe, play, out, breathe, play, out, 2, breathe, play, out. Anyway, sorry. I'll demonstrate it better when I'm actually doing it, but it's sort of this groove that it's almost this like Zen type thing, right? Where now I'm getting into this, like, I'm just breathing in and I'm releasing, and I have time after time, multiple opportunities to just get in that groove of that's how easy I want it to be when I release, no matter what. So whether I'm playing Mahler 5 or pictures or, the Hindemith trumpet sonata or brass quintet piece, every single time that I breathe in and I release, it's just automatic. I want it to be automatic. I don't want to have to think that deeply about releasing sound. I want to be thinking about what sound I want to release. So it ends up being breathe on 4, play on beat 1, breathe out on beat 2, breathe out a little bit more or sort of just rest on 3, breathe in on 4. So yeah, like I said, you almost get into this Zen state. All right. So that is the beginning of my routine. Normally it doesn't take quite this long. It looks like I've been streaming for about 40 minutes. I answered some questions here and there, but I'd say that's approximately the first like 30 minutes of my routine, maybe 20, 25, 30 minutes of my routine, warming up, doing all those long tones, doing all those first attacks. I'm probably assuming that this right here will take me no more than 5 minutes. For me, flexibility I've spent a lot of time on flexibility. At certain times I've spent more than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so. But for me, I'm not super worried. I understand flexibility. So, 5 minutes of it in a really specific fashion is definitely sufficient for what I need. Okay. So we have page 21, number 19. Yeah, here we go. So the intonation might not be perfect because I'm playing with alternate fingerings on a horn I'm not used to, but the flow of everything, I repeated that B flat one because I wanted to prove to myself basically I knew what I was doing. Like I had missed something on B, but I was like, I'll fix that on B flat. And this is something that this is something I try to bring into my teaching and into the way that I practice for exercises like flexibility, where you have C, B, B flat, A flat, G, F sharp. You have kind of 7 repetitions built into the exercise. I will, if I make a mistake on C major or something like that, I won't necessarily repeat C major. Rather, I'll take stock of whatever mistake I made, and then I'll try to fix it on B major. And then if I fix it, then I'm trying to instill that on B flat, A flat, G, F sharp. And if I keep making mistakes, instead of repeating these exercises over and over and over again, I'll treat it like we're practicing one skill and we have 7 repetitions with very minor variations. And that is just a way that helps me to make sure I'm not getting stuck on trying to get something to absolute perfection, because our routines would just take forever at that point. Rather, it's just, here's an exercise, and I have 7 repetitions to kind of move forward and improve the particular skill of keeping things forward and playing from the center of one pitch to another. Hopefully that makes sense. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. I would love to keep trying to help answer some questions. Yeah, that was surprisingly good for a horn that I've been playing for 2 days. So I like this horn, this Rico Kuhn horn. I like it. Kuhn with the umlaut. Kuhn. All right, so we have Clark 4 evens now. So Clark 4, the Clark studies in general, but I like Clark 4 especially for this, is it can be thought of as a finger study, and ultimately, as you can see in the routine when I go over there, it's in there for finger dexterity. So it's just about finger coordination, but before it's about that, it's about being an air study, connecting your air. It's like you're playing scales, but they're just slight variations of playing scales. Obviously, the fifth study is actually playing scales. So trying to think about these studies as less of like, I want to get my fingers to figure things out, as rather, how do I coordinate my air and my fingers together to create a nice, smooth, and just beautiful trumpet sound. That one was okay. a couple of them like this. It's good. All right, we're making good progress. Didn't take a breath there, but we still made it. I'll need to take a breath if I'm going to get that octave. It's hard to do the clappers when you're playing something technical. So you might be asking yourself, Ryan, why are you playing Clark Study number 4 at this speed? It sounds like it's no problem. You're just playing the trumpet. Shouldn't you be challenging yourself? And this is something I was talking to someone earlier today about, and I felt like it was totally worth sharing here, which is in our practice sessions, we're trying to do one of two things, ideally both at different times. The first is we're trying to learn, right? We're trying to explore and uncover how to solve particular problems that we are facing. So if you are unable to slur octaves, you are exploring, how do I need to play the bottom note to be able to make the top note easier or whatever. But the other thing that we need to do in our practice is to imprint good habits so that they become automatic. That's what I'm doing with Clark 4. So I obviously understand what I'm trying to do. I understand what I'm trying to imprint. But if I just moved on from there and made things challenging again, I would be missing out on this opportunity for me to just enjoy playing the trumpet well and to build confidence with the knowledge that I can play the trumpet, I understand what I'm trying to do, and that makes me feel good about my possibility of going into a concert and sounding good because I'm building experiences that I can fall back upon, and I'm doing it in my practice sessions. So I'm not just failing all the time and learning, but I do want to have some part of my routine that allows me to just basically sound good and continue to make those habits that I want to become automatic, more automatic over time. I hope all of that makes sense. It's kind of a really important point that I think the Gold Method app really, really helps with. And it's one of the reasons I've been using it for so long, so consistently. Okay. Next. So 102, and we have Clark 5. So we're going to do the odds. So we have G first. So it's totally worth noting, maybe, so 9 days ago, 9 or 10 days ago, I played that exact one, B major on B flat trumpet for the first time, and it was not great. I could barely get through it for whatever reason. And I've played it, I played through that exercise since that time 10 days ago. I've played through it, I think, 5 times total, including that one. It's just that the process itself has helped me learn it, right? So instead of freaking out, instead of saying, oh no, I can't play this thing on B major, I just said, you know what? I'll just let this process, I'll let the Gold Method app program get me there. And so the next time I came back to it was a little slower, and I was really focused on getting everything clean and, you know, getting the right neural pattern to be ingrained and myelinated. And then, you know, all like just a week later, things are significantly easier. So if you're struggling in general because you're trying to practice something and it's not working, and then you're hammering it out over and over and over again in your practice session, maybe say, okay, I'm just going to write down all the things that I'm struggling with, and I'm going to write down what I think the solutions are. And then next time when I come back to it, whether it's tomorrow or the day after, I'm going to try to implement those solutions in a way where it's slower or something like that. Allow yourself some time to just sort of back off, take your foot off the gas, and just sort of let the thing marinate. I know this is really difficult to do, but I very much believe in this as a necessary part of the process of learning, is just letting things marinate, trying to come up with solutions, and implementing those solutions when you come back and you're fresh. And again, the app does all that for me. I don't have to think about any of that. All right, let's see how this one goes. F major. Not today. Okay, so we got this. We got the app here. We just did that. We got all that knocked out. I'm not worried about the upper register stuff at all. Everything that's in a range that I make, you know, like 99% of the music that I play is in, you know, the ranges that all felt very comfortable. So I'm not too worried about it. Maybe someday I'll be able to play those notes, but not today. All right, 91 beats per minute. We got to play this Saxa Etude twice. So Saxa 55. All right, 2 times at 91 beats per minute. So I still haven't figured out this because I know that's an E, and so I start freaking out and thinking to myself, how am I going to get this E? Which I'm not trying really that hard to get, but I always forget that this is an F sharp. In general, it was pretty good. Let's try it again. Sorry. I don't understand how to get water out of rotaries either. So that's coming along. This Saxa etude is another example of an etude where, like, I just know if I just keep putting in quality work, where I'm thinking through and observing the problems that I'm having, I'm going to get there. I don't have to now practice that one etude for 15 or 20 minutes to fix all these things. And maybe I should, but I don't care about learning this etude at all. I'm just using this as an example to practice articulation. All right. So now we got to do the other sax 3 times. This one's a little shorter. It's cool. It's got a low F in it, so we'll see if I can actually do it. See if I can figure out that low F. Okay. That was pretty good. So, in like what I'm aiming for here, so as many times as I can think, ba 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 ba, da 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 dee, dee da dee da dee da dee da 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 dee dee da, ba ba da bum bum dee dee dum, bum ba dum bum bum bee. I'm thinking in these groups. Boppy 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 da 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 dee da 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 dee. But I'm really trying to demonstrate these groups. And thinking about these groups helps keep me anchored musically. It's better. So ba-da-dum, beam bum, bum bum bum. I'll even zoom in here a little bit. So ba-da-dum, beam bum, bum 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 bum, be-da-da-dum, bum 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 bum, beam bum, beam bum, beam bum, bim ba da 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 dee, and then these are grouped differently. Da dee dum bum ba dum bum bum bum. But this is related to that. This is not related to this. So I'll go in slow motion and then I'll do it for real. Here it is in real time. Right? A little bit stuffy at the end, but hopefully you get the picture of what I'm talking about with these groupings. And so this is a very basic way. I mean, music goes much deeper than this, but this is sort of a basic way to organize or structure or group the music that you're making so that at minimum, groups of notes work together. This is in a book called Sound and Motion. It's also taken from Marcel Tabuteau's numbering system, and there's a little bit from Thurmond is his last name. I can't remember if his first name is James or if Morgan is his first name, but there's a book called Note Groupings. And, you know, instead of ba-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-da-da, we have ba-da-dum, bim-bum, bum-bum-bum-bum. And that can act as a few words in a sentence. Da-da-dum, bim-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Like we have now something that sounds like music, or at least more like music. And the more deep, you know, this music is just, it's not really meant to be anything. It's just an etude to practice. That's kind of interesting and fun to do. But when we start playing music like opera arias and music that's really emotionally deep, we can also take this knowledge of the structure of music and attach it to something that we feel on the inside to really give it not just the correct musical I guess, equation in terms of how we put it together in like a sentence, but then we also infuse it with our own meaning, which gives it its personality. All right. That's it for my articulation work. Now we move on to multiple tonguing. So 126, and we have page 175, number 80. Okay. Feels easy. This horn is awesome. I don't think I've ever played a B flat rotary that I really liked. You know, that I was like, oh, I would play this instrument. Like, I think if I could get used to, you know, my hand hurts while holding it because I'm not used to it. So getting used to that, and then it would take me some time to get used to the intonation tendencies, which could be helped by a different mouthpiece. I almost feel like I would enjoy playing this instrument on a regular basis. If anybody has any questions, we're coming near to the end. I'm probably going to play through maybe the first movement of the Hindemith Trumpet Sonata after this. But if anybody has any questions, this is a good time to ask them. Okay, and then to finish off, we have one time at 144, number 88. I'm probably going to do, I might do this twice. All right, one last time. Yeah, that feels good. Okay. So I get on YouTube. Whose recording should we use? Hindemith Trumpet. Oh, let's do Matthias Hoofs. Because he'll probably play it on Rotary anyway, right?
Searching for music for your next video?
That is an ad. Okay. And then gotta find the music. Yo, Connor. You just been lurking this whole time? I have not played the Hindemith since like my junior year recital, so possibly. Well, how's your how things going? How's trumpet playing going? I think I played it on my junior recital. Nice, dude. Are you going to play the Hindemith along with us, too? So let's get the right level here. Is that like a good level? good level. All right, here we go. So it turns out this C clapper, maybe it's placebo, but it makes the A flat feel a little better too. Man down. Well, that was fun. The whole A flat triad. That is very good to know. I'm so new to rotaries and stuff. I just don't yet quite know exactly what everything does. But A flat was a terrible feeling note. The other one that doesn't make any sense to me is supposedly the spit valve, if you want to call it that, is supposedly for B flat, which is like, how would anyone, it feels like it would be very awkward to use. Oh, good for you, man. Good for you, Connor. Okay, well, that was enjoyable. Tomorrow, I'm going to bust out the Rico Kuhn C trumpet. We'll do my whole routine on that, and then I'll probably play through some Brahms or Beethoven or, I don't know. What other stuff gets played on Rotary? Wagner? Yeah. We'll play through some orchestral repertoire tomorrow. Yeah, it does. It felt fine on mine too. I'm a little beat up from an hour and a half of practicing, but and yeah, I mean, I just never. This is my second day playing this Rotary, so yeah, it would take some experimentation for sure, Sem, to figure it out. But it's definitely what I like about this instrument is like just sort of right out of the gate playing it, it feels good. Like I don't feel like there's a lot of adjustment, and the adjustment that would be necessary would happen with any Rotary. Like I've played other Rotaries where it feels like I got to figure this instrument out, right? Like the point of resistance is a little bit different, or like the sound on this side of it is just so different that it would take a lot of time. This responds the way I like a trumpet to respond, and then yeah, you're just figuring out, okay, well, where do these notes sit? And you know, again, a different mouthpiece probably would make a difference. So does anybody have any final questions about anything before we head on out of here? I've been watching Stranger Things with my wife. The fourth season. I'm pretty hooked on that. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. No spoilers at all. I'm not even through it, but I was watching this clip earlier on YouTube talking about how they won't. They're really strict about the cast and the spoilers and fit photos and everything. And it's just with like, who wants spoilers for this show? Like half of the fun is just seeing where they're taking things and how they're gonna tell the story. So there's no way I'd spoil any of that. Yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. I'll be here tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure what time tomorrow, but it seems like afternoon is a good time. There seem to be more viewers able to join today as opposed to when I've been doing it in the morning. So maybe I'll try to shoot for the afternoon again. Take care, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.